Hey everybody, Alex, TerraceHealthHacksReview.com. Got enough time to put in another video here before the sun goes down. So this video is on reviewing those types of infrared saunas you would find in a big box retailer. We've all know those big box retailers. We don't even have to name their names. Huge, 20,000 square foot facilities might have some infrared saunas in them. They're on sale, very cheap, $9.99. $15.99, $2,000, whatever it is. And then the other thing is those same manufacturers that make those saunas you'll also find online, many times on Amazon and Alibaba and maybe those types of places. So people say when they're looking at the better brands of saunas that are sometimes higher priced, and then they're looking at these cheaper, lower cost saunas that they may have seen, or sometimes you'll see these same kind of cheap rebrands at home and garden shows, things like that. Say, why is it so much cheaper, right? Shouldn't I just get the cheaper sauna? Does it really matter? And it does matter. So it's really kind of a couple things. Let's first roll into potential red flags, what you might want to watch out for, what might not be good for your health. So big box store infrared sauna warnings. So first thing we notice here, see the red arrows? This is extremely common with carbon style saunas. I have no problem with carbon emitters in general or ceramics. They both have their advantages. They're both therapeutic. Some generations of those are better than others. It just depends. But the main issue you'll see that's common with a lot of carbon saunas, with the exception of just a few, is the synthetic cloth covers. Okay, and you can see this kind of a little bit closer here. You see that kind of cover, and sometimes they use a different other material that's more like flat or matte or just smooth. But twofold. One is it blocks 10-15% maybe of the infrared output, which you obviously don't want to do, which diminishes your efficacy. Number two, usually in order to kind of mitigate against the fire risk of putting a cloth type material in front of an emitter, very often those types of fabrics are treated with flame retardant chemicals. And of course, the worst place to put something that has flame retardant chemicals is in front of a heat source, because over time you'll have a breakdown and off-gassing coming off of that in your sauna. So usually, for example, you will never see a sauna that has these cloth covers have an indoor air quality certification test or a VOC test, because of course it probably wouldn't pass that test. So watch out for these. These are done for aesthetic reasons only, which is silly. And then some saunas, you can tell sometimes by the pictures, the way the light reflects off if they have no cover at all. Sometimes it'll look a little shinier, or you can ask for a close-up picture if you're trying to get to the bottom of this online if you can't see the sauna in person. So anyways, moving on. The other thing you got to watch out for is plywood. So plywood is commonly used, and it goes by another name as well, which I'm totally forgetting the name of. But anyways, if it's wood that you haven't heard of and you're like, what is that wood? Just ask, is that a type of plywood? But so to make plywood, basically the issue is that you use formaldehyde to cure it, okay? And yes, absolutely, they can have layers of synthetic glues. Glues is kind of blown out of proportion in the industry, as a lot of times when you say, we use non-toxic glues in our sauna. Most of the saunas actually use non-toxic water-based glues that are even safe enough to eat, same type of like carpenter's glue you'd find in the store. However, something like in a plywood case sometimes might be synthetic that they're using. It just depends. But for sure, they're always using formaldehyde, which can off-gas, of course. So there is heat that will go into the plywood. The back of the sauna is for sure going to get a lot of heat. You'll commonly see this in a lot of saunas, and you always want to ask or see a picture on the back of the sauna just to double make sure. But of course, the emitters would be here on the walls, correct? So there'd be actually a lot of heat generated coming through. Now, it's not going to off-gas necessarily as much inside your sauna, but in that room it will, which will make its way into the sauna and pollute your house. So watch out for that. The other common place, even more common, is on the roof of the sauna. So a lot of times you'll want to say, hey, can you show me a picture of your roof? Can you take a picture with your smartphone of your roof? What is your roof made of? So you want to kind of ask all those questions actually. And you'll commonly find that even with actually well-known brands that are marketed pretty heavily, surprisingly, not naming any names, you'll find some plywood on the roof. So that's just a way of cutting corners, and then you gotta ask, well, how much am I paying for this sauna? And or again, most of the heat rises, so it'll heat that up a lot. So I would watch out for that. And so again, you'll never see saunas have an indoor air quality test if they're using plywood somewhere. And is there plywood potentially elsewhere in the sauna and floor? Potentially. If they're using it on the back, they're using it on the ceiling, could they be using it somewhere else? Maybe. Who knows? You have to chainsaw that sauna open to find out. And or it could be in the floor. Never know. So peace of mind is, does this sauna have, what kind of testing does it have? And or are they guaranteeing, are they proving that that sauna is 100% the same wood type? If they get a cedar sauna, is that 100% cedar? If it's basswood, is it 100% basswood all the way through inside the frame? Most saunas, 90% of them, do not use the same wood type all the way through because it's more expensive. They're using thinner veneers, thinner boards to begin with, and not the same wood type. So you may have some sketchy or different wood standards, let's just say, on those interior cheaper woods. Might be a Douglas fir commonly, or pine in this industry as an interior frame. Companies from my study that are saying we use the same wood type all the way through, here's some pictures here, it's usually legit. It is the same wood type. They're charging a little bit more for their saunas. They usually have more certifications, but that is something you want to look for. It's not that common to have the same wood type all the way through the sauna. So that's also kind of a peace of mind of, okay, maybe they're probably not sticking anything else in that sauna if it's 100% the same wood type. And that's, again, it's something else you'd find these big box stores, all of them do that, cheaper stuff inside, and a lot of the brands on Amazon. All right, so one quick thing you can tell by pictures is, see this up close here? You see how they call it flat grain, essentially. You see the depth in between the boards, how it's like very flat, it's not very deep. These are just cheap veneers, one solid piece that are kind of like, anyways, yeah, these are susceptible, as they say, to cupping, twisting, warping over time. You commonly see that with hemlock. You'll see that sometimes with other woods. So you can tell a lot just by how it looks. And usually the thicker saunas are like putting two thicker boards together. There's no like indention like this in between. It's just like a board and a board together with no gap. And it's, yeah, and you can tell also a little bit by the weight of the sauna, how much they're probably using. Also giving you, of course, some of the specifications on the wood itself. That's how you would determine. So that's another thing. Yeah, you just got to watch out for. You'll commonly see this once again with cheaper rebrands out there. Amazon, big box stores, some home and garden shows here, a classic place. You see them. And that's about it. So, yeah, those are things to watch out for. The glue thing is pretty blown out of proportion, believe it or not. Most sauna companies are actually using good glues just because it happens to be the cheapest to use in this case. But there's other things you got to watch out for. And yes, potentially the glues used in plywood, some types, and plywood's pretty common in the industry. So look for certifications, ask the right questions about the wood, what's inside of it, ask for different types of proven efficacy. And then as far as other things, another thing that's common is sauna companies, the cheaper ones, claiming to have certain safety certifications, but not being able to produce those documents. Usually, almost all of them can produce one or two safety certification documents on like the that you can request. But a lot of times they can't produce all of them, of all the organizations that they're claiming to have certifications with. So that's just another thing. If they are a cheaper brand, let's just say, I would put in that request. It's pretty gutsy for a better quality or well-known brand to be faking or lying about having certain certifications. There's been a couple exceptions in the past, but that is just another thing you got to watch out for, again, with cheaper saunas. If you have any questions about comparing specific brands. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. Thanks for watching. And yeah, as always, find me on healthhacksreviewed.com. Feel free to chat with me or email me your questions or call me anytime.